In this video, we are going to talk about being able to evaluate functions algebraically and from tables, and to be able to perform basic operations on functions. So let's look at number one. In number one, they give us this function f of x is equal to 3x minus 5. So if I look at this first question, it says f of 2. This means that x equals 2. So what that means is in the x spot, I'm going to replace x with 2. So then I get 6 minus 5, which is 1. Here, when I have f of negative 1, this means that x equals negative 1, meaning, again, I'm going to replace x with negative 1. So I'll get negative 3 minus 5, or negative 8. All right, in this, we'll call this number 3. It tells me to do f of 2 plus f of negative 1. Well, I already found f of 2. F of 2 was 1, and f of negative 1 was 8. So essentially, normally I would find f of 2 and f of negative 1, but since I already did, since f of 2 is 1 and f of negative 1 is negative 8, I'm going to do 1 plus negative 8, which would give me negative 7. In this fourth one, 2f of 2, what this means is I'm going to do f of 2, which I actually already found over here, and f of 2 is 1. And then I'm going to do 2 times f of 2, so I'm going to do 2 times 1. So my answer would be 2. Now this last one's a little tricky, but essentially, I'm going to take this x plus 2, and I am going to replace x with this x plus 2. So instead of 3x minus 5, I'm not going to write that. I'm going to write 3 times, and then instead of x, it's going to become x plus 2. So I'm taking x plus 2 and I'm replacing x minus 5. Now I want to fully simplify this. So when I have parentheses, I'm going to distribute. So I get 3x plus 6 minus 5. And when I have positive 6 minus 5, I would get 3x plus 1, which is what I'll put on my line up here. Number 2 is evaluating a piecewise function, which we actually already know how to do, but let's review. So again, the number in the parentheses is what x is equal to. So the first step is to look at the two inequalities and decide which one x equals, negative 3 would fall into. So this top one says x is less than 2. This bottom one says x is greater than or equal to 2. So if I think about negative 3 would be less than 2, so that means I'm going to plug it into x squared. So since negative 3 is less than 2, that means I use the x squared equation, so I'm going to do negative 3 squared, which would give me 9. This next one is x is 0. Well, x is 0 would also be less than 2, so that means I'm also going to plug it into this x squared equation. So since this is also less than 2, I'm going to use the x squared equation again, so 0 squared would give me 0. All right, f of 2 means that x is 2. Well, they both have 2's, but it's actually going to be the second inequality because this one's equal to 2. So that means I'm going to use negative x plus 4. So since this is greater than or equal to 2, I'm going to use negative x plus 4. So instead of negative x, I'm going to say negative 2 plus 4, which would give me 2. All right, 3. F of 3. Well, 3 is greater than or equal to 2. So since 3 is greater than or equal to 2, that means I would use negative x plus 4 again. So I'd have negative 3 plus 4, which would give me 1. All right, now they want us to put some stuff together. They want me to do f of 0 plus f of 2 minus f of 4. So f of 0, well, f of 0 I calculated right here, and f of 0 was 0. So I'm going to put 0 in this first spot, plus f of 2. F of 2 I found here was 2, so I'm going to put 2 in my second spot. And then minus f of 4, so this is going to be minus whatever f of 4 is. F of 4, oh, well, I didn't find f of 4, so let's find f of 4. So f of 4 would mean x equals 4. So x equals 4 is greater than or equal to 2, so that means I'd use that negative x plus 4 equation. So I'd have negative 4 plus 4, so I'd actually get 0. So 0 plus 2 minus 0 would equal 2. In this last question, they're asking us to do 3 times f of 1. So I'm really doing 3 times whatever f of 1 is. Well, f of 1 was not solved for, so let's find f of 1. Well, f of 1 would be less than 2, so that means I'd use the x squared equation, so 1 squared would give me 1. So since f of 1 is 1, 3 times 1 would give me a final answer of 3. All right, our next question, we're going to use a table to do some evaluating. So again, if my number is in the parentheses, this is our input. So this is saying x equals 3. So that means in this spot, I need to put the output. So I'm going to go to where x equals 3, which is right here. Then I'm going to look at what the output is, and the output for 3 is 2. So f of 3 would equal 2. F of 11, again, this means x equals 11. So what is the output for 11? So I'm going to go in my table where x is 11, because notice x is this whole top row. And the output for 11 would be 4. Lastly, I have f of 2. So again, that means x equals 2. So what's the output when x equals 2? X equals 2 is not in my table. So this one has no solutions. We'd say no solution. Or you could say maybe cannot determine, something like that, since 2 is not in our table. All right, now we're going to go the other way. Now down here it says, for what x value does f of x equal 5? So now we need to look in the f of x spot. So f of x is down here, so this entire bottom row is f of x. So if I find where f of x is 5, that is right here. And then I'm going to look at what the x value is that goes with it, and it's 1. So x would equal negative 1. So if the number's in the parentheses, you're going to look where the x is. If it's f of x equals that number, we're going to look in the second row and give the answer in the first row. Let's try this one more time. So if I want to find f of x equals 3, what does x equal? So again, I want to find what x equals when my output is 3. So I'm going to go to my output row, which is the second row, find 3. My input, or my x, is 6. All right, on this page, we have two different functions. We have f and we have g. So when we are looking to solve, we have to make sure we really pay attention to whether we're using f or g. So for example, f of negative 1 will use f. 2 times g of 3 will use g. So first, I'm going to plug in negative 1 for x into f. So if this is f, that means where the x is, I'm going to plug in negative 1, and I'm going to get negative 2. So I'm going to have negative 2 plus, now I need to find g of 3. So that means I'm going to take 3 plug it into the x of g. So instead of 2x, 2 times 3 minus 4, 6 minus 4 would give me 2. But now I need to do 2 times g of 3. So that means I need to do 2 times 2. So order of operations, I'm going to have negative 2 plus, well, 2 times 2 is 4. So my final answer would be 2. All right, let's try this with b. So I'm going to find f of 3 first. So f of 3 means that x is going to go into the, or excuse me, 3 is going to go into the x in f. So that'll give me 10. So I'm going to have 10 plus, and again, I have to do 2 times g of 5. So to find g of 5, I'm going to put 5 in the x spot of g. 10 minus 4 will give me 6. So I'm going to have 10 plus 2 times 6. So I'm going to have 10 plus, well, 2 times 6 will give me 12. So I would get 22. All right, let's try something a little bit trickier. So now I have f of 2x. So what does this mean? This means that in the spot that was x, I'm going to replace it with 2x. So originally I had f of x equals 3x plus 1. Now, in the spot that was x, I'm going to replace those with 2x. So I'm going to have f of 2x equals 3 times 2x plus 1. So 3 times 2x is 6x. So I'm going to have 6x plus 1. So I'm going to have 6x plus 1 plus, now I need to find what g of negative x is. So same idea. I'm going to take g, which was 2x minus 4. And everywhere where I see an x, I'm going to replace it with negative x. So I'm going to have g of negative x would equal 2 times negative x minus 4. So 2 times negative x will just give me negative 2x minus 4. So now I'm doing f of 2x, which was 6x plus 1, and g of negative x, which was negative 2x minus 4. And now I need to add them together. So if I add like terms, 6x plus negative 2x would give me 4x. 1 plus negative 4 would give me negative 3. So my simplified answer would be 4x minus 3. All right, let's try something a tiny bit more complicated. Now I'm going to plug in x plus 1 in for x. So I'm going to rewrite f down here so I can see it. So f of x was equal to 3x plus 1. Now what I'm going to do is take this x plus 1 and put it in for the x. Well, both of them. So I'm going to have f of x plus 1 equals 3 times x plus 1 plus 1. So to simplify this, I'd want to distribute. I get 3x plus 3 plus 1. And so I would get 3x plus 4. All right, so that's just this first part. That now I'm going to end up adding to 2 times. So I'm going to have 3x plus 4 plus 2 times whatever g of x is. So g of x from the top was 2x minus 4. So g of x is just normal. So I'm just doing 2 times g of x. So since this is what g of x is equal to, I'm going to do 2 times g of x. So I'm going to end up with 3x plus 4 plus 4x minus 8. Now again, I can combine like terms. So 3x and 4x would give me 7x. 4 and negative 8 would give me negative